Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to be continuing on with our HTML tutorial series, and in this tutorial we are going to begin looking at forms in HTML. And forms, as the name implies, they allow the user to input data into your website or web app, and that data will then get sent to the server and processed. Now, we don't have a server. We don't have a server set up to process form data, so we can't really look at how sending the data to a server exactly works in practice. We will do that, however, in Node and PHP and ASP when those series of videos comes out. But for now, we're just going to look at this in a front-end specific way. My apologies about the yawning. Holy. Okay, so the first element that we're going to take a look at is the basic building block of a form, the form element. Now, the form element not only houses all of your form controls, but it is also the thing that allows you to specify what HTTP method should be used when sending the data to the server. It allows you to specify the route on the server that the data should be sent to, and stuff like that. So, in order to create the form tag, do a less than form, and we are going to add two attributes to the form. In most cases, this is exactly what you're going to want to do. Method, which allows us to specify the HTTP method to use, and action. Action is where we can specify what route we want our data to be sent to. So let's say we're creating a form that is used for inputting user details and payment details. So for method, we're going to say post. So we want this to be an HTTP post request. And post requests, real quick, essentially, when you submit a form with a post request, that data is sent in the body of the request rather than via the URL. So if with a GET request, you can see all the data that's being sent in the URL. With post, you don't see that. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that post is more secure. It doesn't mean that at all. It's just another way of sending that data. Especially since, for example, if you're logging into a website, for example, you don't want your password being shown in the address bar. That's not a good thing at all. So that's why we use post requests for those things. All right. Now we need the action attribute, and this will take in the specific route that the request should be sent to. In this case, because this is a form for like purchasing something by entering the card details and your personal information, associated with that card information or whatever else you choose to support, we're going to say slash, or rather not slash, we're going to say purchase. Now this will send the data to the route slash purchase, and that's basically what we need for this. And there we go. So now we have our form element created. This form element can contain various different kinds of tags. It can contain inputs. It can contain select boxes. It can contain buttons. It can contain radio buttons and all kinds of stuff. But for now, we're going to take a look at two specific elements that allow us to split our forms into sections and label those sections. Those two tags are called fieldset for grouping our different input fields into their own separate groups, and then legend essentially gives those field sets a label to indicate what the different field sets are used for. So, in this case, we will need two field sets. And inside the field set, we need to give it a legend. So we can do a less than legend. And in between the opening and closing tags of the legend tag, we need to give this field set a label. So this is just a bunch of text. That's all it is. And we'll say this is basic information. Okay. So now, next up, for the second field set, we need to give it a legend of its own. And in between these legend tags, what we're going to do is we're going to give this a label of payment information. Okay, go ahead and save that and reload the browser. Now you can see we have two different things here. We have two field sets, and they each have their own border. And then we have a legend kind of in the middle of those borders. So you can see basic information and payment information. Another thing to point out is that the field sets are block elements. How do I know this? Because if you look at the borders take up the entire width of the body. And so if you had the form, say, restricted in its size to, let's say, half the page, the field set would fill up half the page because, as I mentioned before, block elements fill up the width of their containers. And because these field sets are filling up the entire width of the page, what does that tell you about the form element? That tells me that the form element is also a block element. So it takes up the entire width of the page. You can now kind of see, as we get further and further into more more detailed tags, how they actually interact with each other on the page. You can tell more easily now what is an inline element and what is a block element. And I keep reiterating that point because it is very, very important to understand how these are rendered on the page, especially as you go into CSS later on, because styling is reliant on knowing these things and being able to change them if you need to, depending on what the design is for your page. So that basically does it for this video, guys, on forms, field sets, and legends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye now.